Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Authentically Albertan. I am here in Red Deer once again in Paradise Plaza, and this time I am joined by Madisyn. Madisyn is a musician from Red Deer. How have you been?
I'm good, how are you?
Yeah? How's the weekend?
Oh, it's lovely.
Yeah? What have you been up to?
So far I'm preparing for the next stages of life of pursuing music and also getting more into other arts.
Wow. And what stages are you talking about here?
Well, I really love painting, so I'm getting into painting a bit more. I love dancing, so I'm finding more outlets for that, and I'm going to be starting to teach more music and perform more.
That's a lot of fun. What types of dancing do you know?
Well, I've been dancing for 22 years now, so a bit of everything from hip hop, break dancing, the jive, the Lindy hop, the list goes on.
What got you into music? Was music the first start that you kind of discovered, or was it dancing or painting?
Yeah, I think it kind of started with both. For me, music was always around. My dad, he played guitar when I was a baby, and he really loved his rock and roll music from Rush to Collective Soul. And then, yeah, as for my mom, she was also playing a lot of rock and roll, but also playing all the early 2000s pop tunes. And so she'd play those CDs over on repeat. And my first instinct with music was memorization of lyrics. 3 years old, singing in the back seat. Mom says, "How do you know that song?" So that was really cool. And I was in dance when I was 3 years old. They put me in the classic combination of ballet and tap, and eventually it was jazz and performing at church. And then I branched off into hip hop and got private lessons in college and things like that, yeah.
That's amazing. That's great to hear that you started so young and are still keeping up with it, being dedicated to it.
Yeah, absolutely. When I was a kid, the first thing that the teacher says, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I've always wanted to be a singer, so yeah.
And aside, obviously, your father and your mother were into music. Was there a specific mentor who also guided you through singing, through vocals?
Yeah, at the time her name was Danielle Heikens, but she's married now. She's currently the lead singer of Dear Rouge, but
Okay.
back in the day she was from out here, and her band was called Gates Ave, and she had 2 albums, and she's still one of my heroes. And I learned how to sing like her. I learned how to belt because it's better not to, yell and fight when you're a kid, so why not learn how to sing like Adele to get out that anger and stuff like that, right? So
Like screamo stuff or
oh
what?
no, Adele.
Oh, Adele, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, so learning how to belt, learning how to get out those big emotions through a rock song, and then of course toning it down for some jazz, but really putting your emotions into it.
That's kind of where you get that confidence. You need a lot of confidence when you're singing, because otherwise your voice will sort of dwindle. Put those emotions into it.
I think for me, I look at confidence a lot different than other people do. I think confidence is a comfy dance with yourself.
Okay.
And I guess what that means is just you see confidence as I'm gonna wear a showy outfit and that's who I am. I wear the showy outfit because I get to look at myself all day, and I actually don't want to wear just black and gray and be miserable,
Mm-hmm.
But to each his own. I think confidence isn't oh my gosh, that person's going to be next on the list at the open mic. Oh, I have to follow that. No, that's not. That's pride, that's shame. I think self-esteem is where it's at, and confidence is self-esteem. It is an accurate representation of yourself. I like to sing. I'm good at singing. I've been singing for a while. Facts, not bragging, just this is who I am. I own this, and you put it out there.
Yeah, you've practiced,
Yeah.
You need to get some rewards out of it. You get something to back it up with.
Yeah, exactly. And sure, being on a stage, you could be dancing and whatever. Is it performance? I think it's a bit of both. I think for me, it's more of there's like a little imaginary force field. I'm up there with the band, I'm having a great time, people are watching, and though there's a connection, I'm just in my element. I'm just doing the thing. I'm moving around what feels natural. It's not to show, it's not to get a big woohoo. If I get the woohoo, that's great, but at the end of the day, it's about how I feel about my art and hoping it reaches somebody. So yeah, that's confidence for me.
How many bands have you been a part of so far in your life?
No, that's a hard one. So we'll start with choir. I was in like little church choirs. Not your typical church choir. It was more like a little production called the Seeker Play. And so I was in like the kids chorus when I was little. And then when I was in high school, I was in high school choir, H.J. Cody, and it was really great. Our choir had 75 people, and 18 of them were men, and we would travel to like Vancouver and things, so that's a band, I guess. And
It's a very big band.
yeah, and aside from that, after that, I was like, I really want to have the courage, because at the time I did have a bit of stage fright, so I signed up for as many performances as I could in my senior year, including at my graduation day.
Nice.
And yeah, I just sang and sang and sang. That's another thing about confidence, is it's just like, it's not something you have to fake, it's just something you have to have the courage to sign up for. Like, I might not be ready, but I'm more ready than I was last time. So here's me signing up for this open mic. Here's me signing up for this choir rehearsal or whatever it may be out there that, you know, you like to do. So after that, I auditioned for music school, and I got into the prep program at RDC. And
Nice.
It was a really wonderful time. I was in choir for that, so that's technically
So it's
another ensemble.
Choir.
5 years
Building
of
up
choir,
that.
5 years, yeah. And then I did eventually 3 years of vocal lessons. I've been writing songs since I was 10. I had a voice recorder at the time my dad gave me, and songs were a bit short and sweet at the time, but I think I was writing a full-length song by 15.
And what did you write about back then?
Honestly, I think I was pretty in tune with my emotions even back then. Even if I didn't know big world problems, I find like little kids and teenagers can actually be a bit more in tune with their hearts than adults are, simply just because we lose track. We get caught up with the big world problems, having to pay bills, you know, do the jobs we don't like. And little chip after chip, we lose touch with our heart and start living a little bit too much with our heads. And that's why they call us adults. But yeah, so I think the songs were pretty good at the time. Like, oh, all of the stuff is in my head. Wouldn't you want to feel good instead? Generic, but for a 10-year-old to come up with like, hey, I have a lot of things going on. I'd like to feel better than this. Like, to form words like that, I think was pretty cool for me to be able to do. And I've been going back through the archives of all of my music, and just occasionally I'll pick one from a year ago, 2 years ago, 10 years ago, and I'll like finish those songs. And sometimes they're put to the backside for a bit until I get to them, but yeah.
That's a lot of commitment, you know, bringing up stuff that you haven't worked on in years, and then actually saying to yourself, okay, I'm going to drop what I'm currently doing to finish up these projects and see what I can take out of it now that time has passed by, and see how different you look at them now with more experience than you did back then.
I guess. It could be. I think kind of being in the realm of just being a creator, I think, you know, if you're an artist, you have paintings from when you were a child, you have paintings from when you're a teenager, and you're going to have an art gallery. You're probably going to display all of them. Why not, you know? Maybe not like the one with the stick man, right? But, you know, eventually I think like just you look at everything you have. I do respect people who have art who eventually are like, oh, I want to burn this one, or I want to, you know, put this letter in a balloon and send it. up to the sky. That's really cool, but I treasure those things I created. They were a version of me, you know, that got me to where I am. Maybe an awkward version, maybe a version of me that didn't fully know myself yet, but that still was me, you know, so I represent those things. And so what, you know, the song is a 10-year-old song, or a I was 10 at the time song, and it was only half finished. I get kind of like both aspects. You kind of get to see like beginning, maybe there's a middle piece, and maybe I had some future and tail of what I hope for my life all in one song. I think that's a really great way to tell a story.
I think it's great that you mentioned that a lot of people like to, you know, toss out their art, their old art, and want to keep it hidden from the world because they're like, that's not me, that's embarrassing. But what's great about what you said is that you recognize that these older art pieces were in a way building blocks to what you are right now.
Absolutely.
And you understand more your evolution through keeping them.
Absolutely. I think so much energy as an adult is a performance. And ironically, that's not what I'm doing up there on the stage. I am being authentic to myself with no cap. From singing really loud to singing smooth, but it's the way I represent myself in my own home and no one else is around. That's what you see up there. There's no performance necessary. In fact, I go up there and I sing, and I come back off the stage just the same person as you saw beforehand. Maybe a little different. I mean, belting and then talking at room level is a little different. But yeah, like authenticity is what I represent. If I see myself in the future wearing just very basic attire to just frowning or saying I'm fine all the time, or going along with things that I think are red flags, or, you know, just not standing up for what I believe in, I think like I will have truly lost myself. And so I'm really proud that at this age I've really represented myself in the best way that I can, and I'm finding more ways to do so. I'm constantly looking for maybe I want to do an art gallery, maybe should I write a book someday, should I have a blog, should I, you know, and I look at my life like a bucket list, like, but not a bucket list. Most people's bucket lists are like, I'm going to save it for later, I'm going to leave it in the corner, I'm not even going to think about it. Dreams, what are dreams? No, bills, and the, you know, my bucket list is like a plate ready to consume. Every month I drop some hobbies that I maybe overdid. I pick some up from a couple years ago, or as far back as watching your favorite cartoons, and then I try some new ones, and that's, I live chapter for chapter every month. And going back to authenticity, I find that's the best way to be authentic. Like, adults are spending too much of their lives being unauthentic. For this party, we're going to be this. For this party, we're going to be this. You know, and oh, for the kids, we have to represent like this. Like, kids are going to respect you more, and they're going to listen to you, and they're going to look at you as a role model more when you're being yourself and you're being a decent person. There's so little rules to how this world actually runs. There's, you know, don't harm another person. Try to treat yourself with some respect. Pay your bills. Go to work. But at the end of the day, that's it. You see the meme online that says, wait, you mean to tell me that I'm an adult that doesn't have to be supervised?
I've seen it sometimes.
I could do anything.
Time, yeah.
I could do anything, you know? Like, I could burst into dance right there on the sidewalk. Would it look weird? Absolutely, but it'd be okay.
You wouldn't get arrested for it.
There'd be no arrest. There'd be, you know, it'd be a good time. I could, you know, go be walking on the sidewalk singing a tune. I can dress in a crazy fashion. I could dress in a normal fashion. There might be like uniform for certain jobs and things. But in your own time, like, we're putting ourselves in boxes that we don't need to be putting ourselves in. And I find there's hope for a lot of people to actually be more creative than they think.
So since you've tested a lot of things before in the past, you've tried a lot of things, I imagine some ended up being great, some maybe not the best. How do you deal with that? How do you deal with, you know, things that you gave a chance to but really didn't end up like you were hoping?
I try not to set expectations, you know. they say the word anger is met with underlying hurt and unmet expectations. And a lot of people are underlyingly angry because they're setting the bar way too high. What's called flow is where you are in an element that you love to do. You're losing track of time. It's a bit challenging, but you're enjoying it. It could be art, it could be reading, something that just passes by. Like I just went for a walk and whoa, 30 minutes is gone. Or some people it's video games, you know. Drawing, I was drawing and all of a sudden, whoa, 3 hours went by. What? Flow. And they really recommend that you do that as often as possible. And I think musicians have the benefit of the doubt getting to do that because they found what their passion is. It's music.
Yeah.
And so like I said, every month is its own chapter. So, okay, I did this hobby for a month and it's not necessarily labeling it because like how I like the rainbow. It's not black, it's not white, it's every color in between. Like you can say, oh, this was a bad day, this was a good day, but it's not. It's actually, sometimes there's bad parts. Does that make the rest of the day bad? No, you can have good moments. You know, you could pay a really expensive fee for something one day and let that carry out for the rest of your day. Or you can be like, I'm gonna go out to a dance tonight. And I did that just the other day, you know, and just like dance for hours.
Let it all out.
Yeah, absolutely. So you don't have to label everything. Like that's what we're taught as an adult. It's the algorithm that we're programming into our brain. Label things as good and bad, have an opinion, social studies. Literally, you guys sit on the left, you guys sit on the right. And I think that's great. It is good to have an opinion, but I think sometimes you just need to just embrace the flow of life and like, where can I not? Where could I just observe the art? Where could I just be in the thing that I'm doing without expectation? The little kid that has jam all over their face from eating a sandwich and doesn't know that they should be embarrassed or something. Or the 10-year-old kid that's trying to draw, but they're still drawing stick people. Or they're still drawing little dogs that look cartoony. And just not saying, oh, this is terrible. Oh, this guy has it way. The second we start doing that is the second that our art and our hearts dies. If we just like look at music and we look at art as something beautiful and to be observed, you can have opinions, but you don't need to label yourself or compare yourself to other beings, to past versions of yourself even.
Yeah.
And if you do, yeah, compare yourself to your past you, but you don't need to compare yourself to a story that you don't understand because they don't understand yours, you know? So pick up that hobby, try that hobby, and what flow really is just like an accurate representation of your needs. Things you've put down from sports to things you used to do for fun. You either put them down because you gave up on yourself, you pushed yourself too hard and set the bar a bit too high, or you didn't challenge yourself enough. Sometimes that burnout is understimulation. And that's mainly what I've noticed out in the world, and what I really love about my music is just, I'm going to play a song, I'm going to sing, I'm going to get those feelings out of a person and just have them feel and understand how I was feeling about the lyrics that I was writing. If we can open up our hearts again, then we're going to start to be open to new ideas, new conversations. And they're not new conversations. They're ones we had as a kid that we chose to forget about. You know?
We actually have a segment here in Authentically Albertan, a segment on the show called Horror Stories, where we get the guests to tell a horror story with the sole purpose that they have to tell us how they overcame it and what they learned from it. So I wanted to ask you, do you have any horror stories about performing or painting and what you learned from that?
Yeah, I guess. So for me, I had stage fright for a bit when I was a kid. In fact, I was actually quite shy. I didn't form opinions. I had opinions, but I didn't say them. I had years and years of being bullied for being different because lots of people were conforming to the trend of the fashion or what the kids thought was cool at the time. And I couldn't, even if I tried, but I also didn't want to. And I think you in life either learn the lesson or you learn resentment, and lots of people choose resentment because it's easier than trying to find the lesson, because looking back can hurt. There's a lot of hurt, you know. But you can find some good lessons, like I'm gonna be saying here, like, bullying, you know. Oh, I was bullied there. Oh, lost friends here. And that hurts. But maybe those people, you know, weren't supposed to be in my life for long. What can I take from this one friend that left? And just kind of knowing that I shaped my own identity because I spent it alone. You know, I focused on my art. I didn't feel peer pressure to try things I didn't want to try. And that makes me feel really good.
Welcome back, guys, to our second segment of Authentically Albertan. I am here with Madisyn.
Hey.
So, we were talking about confidence, we were talking about individuality, all these great things. I wanted to know more about your history. How was your experience in post-secondary like?
I really loved it. I was in the prep program. I didn't know enough music theory at the time, so they were really lovely, and they created this program, which was a pre-diploma program for anyone who didn't know music theory, from a musician who performed and played a lot but just didn't know how to read music or things, to a very spontaneous person who was working at the bank and one day was like, you know what, I'm gonna be a musician and I'm gonna go to school. And so they would start from point blank, like, this is this, and Father Charles goes down and eats bread, a face, and all of the anagrams and everything. And it was just a really cool program. I was in it, and I got to be offered after-school curriculars like choir, but I didn't want to be in choir at the time. I had been in choir for a bit, so I heard about jazz combo.
Okay.
And currently, I still know my instructor to this day, and it's really cool to be able to still perform with him. And I was going to audition, and people were saying, oh, no, don't audition. These are for the actual diploma students and people who
Not
know,
for you.
People who know level 5 theory, and you don't know any theory, and don't even bother. But you know what? Like, what's the harm in trying, you know? Kind of like that cold shower, you know. First you're like, no, ew, I would never put myself in any discomfort. But then you're like, okay, what if I only did 30 seconds? What's 30 seconds of enduring gross cold temperature?
No, once you're in that cold shower, you're in.
For the
I've
health
done it
benefits,
before.
right?
I've done it before.
Right.
And once you're in it, once your head kind of gets acclimated, you're in there. Like your body just adapts to it.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't see myself doing like 30 seconds on and then 30 seconds off. That's just too much of a quick change.
Oh, absolutely.
That would hurt more.
But I guess, like, if you remember your first cold shower and you're like trying to talk yourself into doing it, and you have no idea what the temperature is going to be, what's going to feel like, and you're like, you know, and you just
give me a blanket, please.
Yeah, and you just do it. And how I talk to myself into it is just like, you're gonna relax your muscles. You're gonna focus on the room around you. You're gonna do deep breathing the whole time, because if you start hyperventilating or holding your breath, it's gonna make the situation worse, you know. So I was like, you know, doing all of that, like with my reference with the cold shower, and just being like, I'm gonna breathe through it. I'm gonna have the ability to just sign up for it, because that's confidence. It's not necessarily being sure if it's gonna go well. That's a separate thing. It's just simply, I'm gonna try. I have the ability to try.
You've got the willpower to do it.
Courage is the fear with the action of trying. You're still afraid, but you're doing the thing that you're afraid of.
I've read enough Green Lantern comics to know that.
I'm gonna have to read that one. Yeah, so I went in there and I auditioned, and I have a really cool ability to hear from ear training what the person is playing, to which my brain can convey, okay, we're going to sing this note, but these notes are no. Would I be able to tell you what those notes are? Maybe not, but that's the cool part about ear training. And so he's playing, I'm singing the lyrics, And then I start scat soloing, or maybe at the time I was making lyrics up on the spot.
How was that like? Because that's difficult. It's difficult to get it done just right. I've only seen the Scat Man on YouTube. And obviously he was a professional, but I've tried imitating him and it doesn't go very well.
It's hard to say about the imitation of scat, because scat is all improvised. So it can be hard to imitate what someone is scatting, because it's a very big dialect of notes to how you're representing your mouth, of different sounds that you're going to make and things. But no, it was quite natural for me, and he saw that, and I said, did I get into the jazz combo? Not only did he say yes, he said, of course you got in, you know? And so here I am in this three-hour class.
Okay, 3-hour class.
3-hour class. And I was like, the first hour is theory. So there I am, I'm like taking notes, I'm sticking out my tongue, like, do I understand? And then the second hour is him going, okay, who wants to be the first to demonstrate? Sticking up my hand.
I'll go up there. Yeah.
Yeah, like,
Give it a shot.
Was I confident on terms of other people's definition of confident? No, I didn't know if I knew what I just learned, but I had the courage to do it anyway. And where all these people are book smart, they're in higher years of lessons and in the actual diploma program, and here's this little prep that just tried out. I go and I sing the right notes, and I did the thing, and then the third hour we'd get together in a group. So going back to the question on how many groups, choir again, another choir, and
lots of choirs.
Lots of choir, and then I was in a jazz combo group, and they decided to name it after me. They called it the Lovelace Jazz Quintet. And
What an honor. What an honor. That's great to hear. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very honorable. I love that I was born into a stage name. I don't have to change it. Madisyn Lovelace, you know.
I thought it was a stage name.
No.
It's that great.
It is my birth name.
Wow.
I was born with that name. Yes.
It's like a character out of a book.
It could be, yeah. I think so. But yeah, so we had marimba, which is a very beautiful wooden instrument. We had the drums, we had bass, we had guitar, we occasionally had piano, we had singing, and we would perform almost weekly. And our college was very cool. They had a thing almost like America's Got Talent, where they have a bunch of like audition videos, and then at the end of the year they pick their top 20, right? So they videotaped every single performance that any of the students ever did in college for that year. Mm-hmm. And then the teachers would review and watch back, and they'd pick their top 20 favorite performances of that year. And that could even be from first semester, where you're not even in that class anymore or with that band anymore.
Okay.
And I and my group were selected to be on the top 20 show. That's entertainment.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
It was wonderful.
And how was the experience?
It was amazing. We did a song called I Love Paris, where we switched from bossa nova to swing, my idea. And then we switched from major to minor all throughout the entire song. And the part for me that was cool for my voice was I was doing a scat solo, and I was singing and singing and singing higher and higher and higher to my highest note that I could hit, and a second later, the lowest note that I could hit, which is very hard to do, because if you want to talk
it's a whole
science...
scale, yeah.
Scale, yes, but if we're talking science of the vocal cords, when you're singing a high note, your vocal cords thin, and when you're singing a low note, your vocal cords thicken. So usually that causes a voice crack, your voice is, you know. Mm-hmm. And I proceeded to do what I needed to do for that song.
And singing low is tough. It's tough, because I got told by a singer earlier on in the season that, you know, when he's singing high pitch, he's got to really, like, I don't know, in a way, he's got to relax when he's singing low, and he's got to do the opposite when he's singing high. And he finds it harder to relax his vocal cords rather than, I don't know, stress him out. I don't know, what's the opposite to relax?
Yeah, okay, so what it sounds like what he's doing is his speaking voice is probably already low, so he can just kind of, like how my voice is right here and singing with that would be the note of which I'm kind of talking. His talking note is probably way lower, so that's why he feels so relaxed. And then his higher notes are uncomfortable to him. Maybe he's had maybe some lack of practice or lack of rehearsal, or he's not aware that it's not actually a yanking pull of your vocal cords to get those notes, which lots of people are doing, which is causing damage to the voice. It's actually singing above the note and singing into your nasal resonance. So kind of like Waluigi or Wario going, wah, you know, like that really funny sound.
I've played Mario Party, I know.
If you want to meet a singer, they sound beautiful up there, and in their free time, they're doing lots of hilarious vocal warm-ups. Plugging their nose, there's a zzz, there's but it looks funny, it sounds funny, but like that's truly what you do to get your voice to do what you want. For men, it's a bit difficult to transition into that falsetto voice, but it's a lot of training, singing and talking in your nasal, like sounding like a very nasally scientist, you know, that's those notes up there that get you to sing high. So, you know, and then, yeah, so for me, being a girl and having my voice already be a bit higher, I have kind of a little bit of a benefit of being kind of in the middle of that, but to which case the lowest notes are going to be a bit harder than the highest notes. But my first year in college, I said that I wanted to sing low. In high school, I did alto and I did soprano for choir, and then in music school, I did, was like, I would like to learn how to sing low, and so my lowest note is actually quite hard to hear if I'm performing with a band.
Okay.
Because
this is very, very low.
Yeah. It's which you'll get to hear from the mic being so close to my face. But anyway, so the highest note does not break glass yet.
That would be a neat party trick.
Maybe. I don't know. I feel like people would be very sad about their china. But so here's
doesn't have to be a whole glass in the house. You can just grab a cup.
Very true. Very true. So yeah, my highest notes didn't come till later. I wanted to focus on my low notes. And in college, I studied jazz, musical theater, choral music. I had a folk archive of music that I would write, and I was in a 90s alternative rock cover band.
Wow.
We call ourselves Pumpkin Trash.
Smashing Pumpkins reference?
Sort of, also after the Halloween garbage bags with the pumpkins.
Ah, gotcha.
And so that
Forgot about those. It's been a while since I've trick-or-treated.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Particular album that you've had in mind for a while now, if you were to envision your first album, would there be a particular theme to it?
Ooh, well, I guess it just depends, because I could just be rolling off of where I'm at in my life right now. I could be rolling off of where I was, because I think that should be like represented as well. I had a time when I was working at a retail store, and I can say this because I don't work there anymore. And it was COVID, and it was a time in my life when I was falling back into that slope of external validation again, and like people just not really treating you nicely in the workplace, and so you started to believe that was because you needed to be treated that way, and it wasn't actually the truth. And so I was the janitor, I was the person handing out sanitizer and masks, and that would have been fine if we would have swapped each other out every once in a while. So working that 15-hour job, just standing there, here's a mask, here's sanitizer, just going a little bit insane because it's an 8-hour shift every single day. And so I took a paper towel and I wrote out lyrics, and when they would come by, I would.
You should be wiping it down.
Yeah, I'm just cleaning, and I don't recommend it unless you're planning on leaving the job soon. Um, but yeah, so I was writing paper towel songs. The first one that I wrote was a song made up on the spot, but I didn't have my phone with me because don't have your phone on you at work. Be responsible. But I would write out lyrics, and then I had an hour and a half left of my shift. So I had to sing this song over and over and over again. I was not trying to memorize it. I was trying to remember the melody so I could quickly record it when it was done. Success. Was it memorized the next day? Yes, it was. It absolutely was. And
Do you still perform it?
It's been a while. It's been a while since I performed that specific one.
That could be the title to a show you're putting on, you know, paper towel songs.
I thought about it. I thought
Yeah.
it would be a good, hilarious album name. But so pretty much after that, I was like, okay, there's got to be an easier way to write some songs without going insane. So I have, like I said, I have songs from when I was 10, from when I was 12, from when I was 15, 20, all these things. And some of them are not finished. But I've memorized the little 20-second lick of the song that I wrote, and I know what key it's in. So what am I doing now? I sat there, I'm finishing the lyrics, and I don't have to sing it over and over again because I'm going to just base it off of this one spot of the lyric that I've already written years ago. And I finally started finishing songs. And I would finish about 4 in a shift.
There you go.
And so then I had this big bucket at the end of working there of paper towel. And one day I forget that I have lyrics on these, and I go and I blow my nose.
No.
On the other side, luckily the other side. But I say this, kind of embarrassing, fun story, because eventually I write, what would the album be called? It'd be called Paper Towel Songs. Yes.
Yeah.
It'd be called that. Not just because of the songs, but it would be named after a song I wrote about that whole story I just shared with you guys. So it would be about where I was at emotionally, how I felt in the workplace, how I felt in my life, back in a place when I was kind of in a place of shame or a place of just not feeling secure in myself. And I call these timestamps. You can have them in a journal form, in a poem form, in an art form. I have them in lyrics. I write out, here's what I went through in this time in my life. And at the time you're depressed and you're like, this is going to be forever, you know. And then years later and you're singing the song and you're like, wow, I still relate with this.
Yeah.
But I don't relate with this anymore. And so that's a really cool thing. And so that's what it's called, Paper Towel Songs. And it's a song solely just about that one experience. And my favorite part, and I'll just sing a little lick for you right here, which is, and one day she went to blow her nose, and now the lyrics are on her face, and she can't seem to get the ink right off. So everybody who she embraces finally sees those smiling faces were really a hidden cry for help.
That's great. And you came up with that on the spot.
Well, actually, that is part of my actual song, but I thought I'd sing a little lick of it. So.
Yeah, but I mean, when you were writing it down on a paper towel, that was there. You were there from 9 to 5.
Yeah. So
that's the power of a 9 to 5 job. You go right there.
Exactly. So honestly, never think that what you're doing in your life at the time, even if it's something you don't like, that there's nothing to be offered there. That job that you hate could bring your best friend because you both hate that job and you get to be friends and talk about it now. Oh my gosh, I have to go to that family gathering. Okay, well maybe there's really great food there. Like you could be looking at the bright side. It actually takes more energy to think of the negative thing as well as carrying it with you. So timestamp, write a song about it, write a journal about it. You just sit with that negative, it's just gonna consume you. But you are full of light if you think about it. If you want it, you got it. The seed you sow will surely grow. So like how I said, planting that seed of I'm not that good at singing and I'm shy and I'm going to perform and it's going to be a really big mess and turned into an explosion of performing. You planting that seed of negativity, you don't know that's going to lead to more self-hate, to resenting others, to jealousy, to tearing you down, making you the worst version of yourself and working at a job that you hate and staying at for 15 years because the plaque would look nice. Snap out of it, people. Wake up, see your realization, and love yourself.
I want to ask you, if you weren't an artist, what do you think you'd be doing right now?
Okay, so here's a fun fact. To support my art, I'm going to be believing in myself, pursuing it, writing, recording, performing, concerts, teaching, learning more instruments. Eventually, will I pick up a bass? Will I pick up an electric guitar? The answer is both.
Pick up the accordion. That one's difficult, I've heard.
Actually, my grandpa does play the accordion.
There you go.
He calls it this, in Newfoundland, it's called the squeeze box.
Is he from Newfoundland?
He's from Newfoundland.
Okay.
And he has 12 fingers. Wow. He has 12 fingers.
Huh.
And that only makes Newfie sound way more far-fetched than they are. But no, that's just his
And does he
tale.
still have that accent from Newfoundland?
Yeah, as you're getting on by, say we're at Telgusher 2.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. Did you understand anything I said?
You know what? We're going to put some subtitles on the edit.
How are you doing, friend? Stay where you're at until I get there. So I don't have like exactly the Albertan accent, but I have a Newfie-ish. You don't really hear a Newfie accent in my voice unless you hear certain words, but or if I'm speaking to a Newfie accent fully on, they call it the Newfie on and off switch.
Okay.
And but I have a bit of the slang of Newfies and blurring my words together or speaking really fast. But some lyrics of Newfie with a Newfie accent. Sarah, Sarah, won't you come out tonight? Sarah, Sarah, the moon is shining bright. Put your cap and jacket on, tell your mother you won't be long, and I'll be waiting for you around the corner.
You know, I'll call you up when I'm doing that big road trip across Canada. You can join us in the Newfoundland section. We can go on a big fishing trip.
Good.
You can be the sea shanty person.
All
That'll be your role on
Absolutely.
that fishing trip.
Absolutely. But yeah, so
So we're talking about,
performing.
if you
and
weren't
what's next
if you weren't an
and-
artist right now, what would you be doing?
Okay.
And you said that you were doing something to support your art right
Absolutely.
now, which is
Okay, so I've come up with a really cool plan. I mean, lots of people are generic to say, my 5-year plan. Well, I normally don't have one of those. I have a bucket list plan, and I'm pulling from whatever I hear in my head or I see a pattern of. I kept seeing art everywhere, so I started painting more, whatever. But I do have a plan, and right now it's going to be setting up, the foundation for that music, from the safe space to the creative side. So that's that. But to support that art, to if I wasn't doing music right now, but also on the side, I'm going to be going to school for rec therapy.
what's that?
Rec therapy, well, lucky for me, you can have this job almost in any town, any city, so you can travel with it. And you could choose many different outlets.
Okay.
So you can choose nutrition and exercise by being a health and wellness grade school teacher.
Are you into sports?
I can be pretty fit. I could be in the athletics. Another performance thing that I've gotten into is a lot of different types of fitness for sure. And
You hit the gym?
I walk everywhere. I walk about 10 kilometers a day for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Last 10 years. Dancing and a bunch of other things. Anyway, so I'm going to be possibly rec therapy in health and wellness for grade school, teaching kids about nutrition and exercise, because I think that's really important. It's great to, one of my performance things I have a goal for is maybe be a motivational speaker at some point for mental health and just optimism and creativity. But I think that a lot of people have it in themselves to be able to help themselves if they have the tools and the inspiration. So I hope this video isn't just cool about music, but it's inspiring. teaching kids about nutrition and exercise while they're young, and then all of a sudden they're an adult and they're eating healthy and they're like, they know all their tools, they know their self-care, where a lot of us adults are like, I don't know what this means and I'm angry. I think you're hungry. I think you need a nap. I think
You need a Snickers.
I think you need to do like that hobby that you miss doing, you know, or go see a friend. Like, we weren't taught a lot of these emotional tools, you know, and so teach these kids from a young age how to self-regulate, how to sit in their emotions and feel it, and not be told, oh, don't feel that thing because the adult says they're uncomfortable with it because they can't feel it, you know, like, feel that thing, you know, and then have adults who can teach kids, and have adults who can inspire other people in many fields, from a doctor to a nurse to, you know, whatever they decide to be, to even just being like, you know, a retail clerk and you're bringing someone a smile. But just because I taught some kids and then, you know, maybe I move on in my life and I don't remember the kids, but the kids remember me, you know? So health and wellness teacher in grade school. You could work in the seniors lodge, being an events coordinator, because I perform in many different things. So today, guys, I'm doing a stand-up comedy show. Today we're singing. Today I'm dancing. Today we're gonna garden.
We're gonna do paper crafts, ceramics.
I spent a lot of my years going through up and down turmoil to well, and I spent a lot of my time learning how to cope with those things. I spent a lot of time alone, had friends move away, things like that. And it did affect me, but eventually when I came around to it, I learned tools to cope, I learned music, I learned art. And so why not have that be full circle and give back to somebody else and show them what you've learned, you know? Like, nothing that you have done in your life is for nothing. Like, it can be, and you could be, again, angry, resentful, or you could be like, what did I learn from this thing, you know? From being bullied, it has a lot of wounds I have to work through, but there's also a new developed sense of self and self-love and growth, and now I can pass that on to somebody else, and they can learn from me, and they can learn from them, and it'll grow. So seniors lodges, and just like the longer that we are alive for, and you and I are aging and aging and aging, is the less of a gap between us and the oldest person in the world. And soon we'll be the oldest person in the world, and everyone will be looking to us for advice, and it would be nice if we probably
Do you hope to be 127?
Ooh, that is a, I don't know if that exists, but I do know that if we don't get to know our seniors now, you know, in college, in music history, we had to read a book and like, sacred and secular music in the medieval era, and I'm reading and I'm like, oh, everyone loved sacred music and they just wanted to be involved in it. Actually, it's because secular music was you working at a farm, you working as like kind of a slave, and you working
in the feudal system.
And you're not eating properly, you're dying of a young age, and sacred music and the church, in a great way and in an unfortunate way, was providing yourself with a longer life in nutrition and exercise and like well-being, though it was taking you away from, because at the time people were becoming monks and nuns, or they were working on farms and things like that. So what I'm saying is my interpretation of what I got from the book, from reading it, was different than what I got to learn from the actual instructors who studied it and were taught the truth, the facts. And so going back to wanting to maybe work with seniors is saying that, you know, our veterans, we're running out of veterans. Eventually they're aging out and they're passing on. And our truth of World War II and the hurts and the pain is eventually going to be just on paper, and we're going to interpret it differently, or in many cases, you know, hopefully not, but history repeats itself, you know, with our potential recession, which happened in the 1930s. And what year is it almost? 1930s?
Don't say that. Don't make me think like that.
I don't want to think like that.
There's been posts where it's like, you know, you're 25 years away from the 2000 and you're 25 years away from 2050.
That's
And
fair.
2010 was 15 years ago.
I guess I'm just like, if not, then I'd say like in the mental health field or in nutrition and exercise, where you're working at like a actual clinic for rec therapy. You could branch off into music therapy, which is also why I chose it, or art therapy, which is also why I chose it. But pretty much like one person, right? Like I could put myself on a pedestal and say I'm gonna be just like one person who shapes all these people. No, I'm one person who helps people help themselves so that they find what their calling is. Maybe those people, like I said, become doctors. Maybe those people are the ones who help lead the country. You know, I'm not taking credit for that. I'm saying I'm hoping that from the work that I maybe do on the side of music, that I can help people find love again and wake up from the doom scrolling and the self-hatred and the swipe right culture and all the crap that we're falling for now, and the cameras everywhere and the pressure and the trends and
The cameras everywhere, especially.
looking at you. So I think it just kind of like is full circle from my personal story, but I think it also works well with my music. I help people by day. I go sing at nighttime, some afternoons, and I think that no matter what you do in your life, stay humble. I also clean for seniors. Some days I would have a concert, and that concert was so good. I was so proud of myself. I'm going to go out and celebrate. I'm going to go dance. I'm going to have a good time. But sometimes I'm like, you know what? I'm no better than the person working at Walmart. I'm no better than the person who is a janitor. So I'm going to be one. And then I'll go to a senior's house and I'll go and I'll clean a toilet. I don't even care. Right after singing, take off the dress, put on the joggers. When you really own yourself, you're really free. You're free from the chains of your past and the hurts. You're free from the pressure and the expectation of the future. You can have goals. Goals are different than living externally.
Yeah.
You know, I might be in an interview right now, but you don't have to go to your Christmas gatherings and quickly, I have to quickly accomplish a thing and have something to talk about at the table. You know, I was doing that for years and it was extremely painful. And the worst part was I accomplished something that I might have found to be proud, and if I compared it to someone else, it wasn't the same thing.
What do you think is your definition of success?
Success. It depends on the day. It depends where you're at. I mean, you know, you see that hilarious ribbon that some people can buy at a joke store. I put on pants today. You know, that's a success for some people. You know, you're dealing with a different version of yourself every single day. When I say that my life is kind of like a book series. Like each month is its own book number 1, book number 2, and each day is its own chapter. Like, you don't know what you're going to face today. Your whole life can change in literally a day for terrible things like, oh no, I have to move, I have to like, oh my gosh, what opportunities to go and meet people that I've never met, to do things I've never done, or just a casual day that you've already done a whole bunch of times and you know. But pretty much just like you are being authentic to yourself. You are trying your best to represent yourself in the kindest way that you can. Self-compassion, self-care, because self-esteem is recognizing that self-care isn't selfish. A person who's not in their self-esteem will look at your self-care and think that you're being a selfish person. If you're giving back to other people and being kind and helping others, you're not selfish by putting into yourself, because just like the airplane, when it's going down, you have to put your mask on first before you put it on someone else to be able to help, or both of you are going to suffer. And so success is realizing that you are one of those people that you need to have a relationship with. You are yourself and you're the body. Sometimes, you know, you have the flu and you would rather be out there in public and doing things that you would like to do, but you have to work with this other member that you forgot about, your body. And
Treat yourself like you would treat others in a way.
treat
Like
yeah.
you're someone who's responsible for another person.
Yeah, you're responsible for another person. Your parents parented you not to just teach you the basics, but how to parent yourself. And if you are lacking in some of those things, from emotional support to regulation to I don't know how to cook, I didn't learn how to cook, then you got to go out and you got to go out and like look for those things. Learn how to cook. I feel like I would have loved to have like a really close connection with an older sister, and I don't have one. Go make an older friend. Go find a cousin. To be like your best sister friend, and like, I'd love to be an auntie. Okay, my niece and nephew are my cousins, my young cousins. They'll be my niece and nephew. Like, you can find healing if you look for it, or you could sit in a gross, dirty pile of mud. Not fun. So success is you're setting goals. It's a flow. It's a flow way of life, just like how I talked about the hobbies. It is I'm challenging myself, but I'm not setting the bar way up here where I'm never going to reach it. And I'm not setting the bar so low that I'm bored, that I'm not challenged, that I want to give up and be depressed. I'm checking myself, weekly check-ins, how you, with a partner, you're like, hey, how are we doing? Could there something be better? Like, yes, do that with yourself too, because the best relationship with anybody and yourself is two people who go off and they're looking after themselves and they're doing things for themselves. They come together at the end of the day with the things that they need help with. They're not, hey, you have to fix me, and I'm changing you. That's codependency. You could become codependent with yourself, where you're like just in this cycle, this doom cycle from addiction to I want to shop all the time, to self-hate, to just doing the same old routine. Or you can sit with yourself, from journaling, therapy, to trying new things, doing art. And I think last week I did too much sitting around. I gotta be more productive. I was not making time for my friends. The hardest thing I had to learn from becoming my own boss was I no longer had anyone to blame but me. Yeah.
We have one final question here in the show, which we like to ask everybody, and that is, if you had, I think you're gonna hate this one, if you had one word to describe yourself, which one would it be? And there is no wrong answer.
I'd say flow.
Yeah?
I'd say flow. Growing up, there had up and down hardships, and a lot of anxieties, and then a lot of good memories too, in nature and family. And then in my adult life, going through crazy hardships that no one should go through, to really awesome things that you only see in the movies, and they happen to me. And just like recently being told, like, you have, like, I used to be very go, hyper, like a lot of energy, and I still have moments of that when I get really excited and passionate about the things I love, but being told recently that I have very calm energy about me, like, I have a lot to say, I have a lot of art to express, but I'm not there to take up space from someone else's moment too. I'm not there to say that I'm better than somebody else, or put myself down and say that I'm worse than somebody else, because there is no pedestal. We don't know why we're here. We all have the same fate at the end of the day. And so, yeah, treat yourself with kindness and treat others with kindness and abide by law. And other than that, you're free, you're flow, you are free to be weird. You could go at the bus station and see a cute little baby make a funny little face. Or
You're free to be yourself when you're in flow.
Do that. Yeah, you could go hug a tree. You could go look at the ants walking on the ground, or never acknowledge their existence. We have so many different possible realities. A reality is as simple as picking up a cup and putting it down, or never picking up that cup. I could sit on that comfy bench, or I might never know what it was to sit on that bench.
What it felt like to sit on that comfy bench.
It's a level of deep thought and a deep expression. Flow. Just experiencing.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today in the show. I had a great time interviewing you. It was a blast listening to all of your stories. Like I said, you're very well articulate. You have a lot to say. You're very well spoken.
Thank you.
I think that you should write a book one of these days and find an editor that you trust.
Oh, deal. I would absolutely love to do that.
But yeah, thanks again for being on the show, Madisyn. It was great hearing from you, great learning from you. And yeah, I can't wait to see what you do next, what other type of art you perform.
Thank you so much.
And thank you guys for watching this episode of Authentically Albertan. We'll catch you on the next one. Stay authentic.